Hello there, as requested, the Midland Jesan and Skiptech catalogue, 93 to 94 communications catalogue, that's what it's called. And this I bought from Supertech in South Shields. They had a shop in Melrose Centre and they had another one in the Wolves, in Newcastle in the market in there. But that was, I think them two shops are now shut, and I'm not too sure about the Shields shop. I haven't been down there for a while. But anyhow, they used to sell all sorts of kind of stuff. A friend of mine done a video, and his was a 92 to 93 or whatever. His catalogue was just slightly earlier than mine, and I noticed there was a few different things, and not much, but some different things. And I said, well, yeah, as requested, here it is. So you can see the cover is completely different. Obviously, my friend's catalogue, his was from Kernow. His stated Kernow in the book, whereas this one, it doesn't seem to mention anything like that. Just Midland, Jesan and Skiptech. And this is what I came to know, and this was like a Bible to me, and you can see it being well read. But like I said, the format is almost the same. I'll have a quick square through it. On this page, it's scanners, Upatera scanners, AOR, and the MVT 77100. And then the contents. And just as the same, we've got the Midland 77250K, which in this one stated was available in UK spec or SEPT spec. The 77805 Midland Porter Pack gives you a rough idea what was included: the leatherette case, the mic, the telescopic antenna. I've got one of these. I've got one of the 77250Ks as well, but I used this Midland Porter Pack quite a lot back in the day. Well, good rigs in the time. The 77104, basically basically a 77805 without the leather, without all the accessories, and therefore it was a little bit cheaper. These, a lot of people used to scowl these sometimes because I didn't have the S meter on, but the old 99s. But if you weren't bothered about that, as long as you knew you were getting in and out, mobile work and that, I suppose it done the job, didn't it? Next page, the 1165 remote mic on it with the up-down channel buttons and the channel 9 on the front. There's a little slanty line of LEDs on it for an S meter. These were a little bit bigger than the 77104 and 99 models. We've got a couple of 49 megahertz radios here, which I never ever owned. Nothing similar to the one from Midland and the other ones from Jesan there, or Jesan. Another rig. This I've got one of these. I've done an overview on it some time ago. This one's a KR200. States there KR200 on the front, but here it says model KT2002. And there's a bit of a speck of a sheet there on the radio. But when I've been looking through it, apart from these rig sizes, this is sort of like you cut and paste. It's on all of them. Anyway, so the next rig here, which was probably new for this year, was the Jesan 8000 Pro 8000, and again, it was a sort of a step back in time really. When you think some of the radios were slim, some of them people still wanted the big radios like the Cybernet size, like the 2002 or this 8000. I've got one of these too. I haven't done an overview on it. I will get round to it. Here's another one. I must be a Jesan collector because there's a 4004. It's got up down channels, PA and high-low power, and an LED S meter. The compact CB radio from Jesan. I've got one of these too. Like I say, we used to go through these a lot when I was back in the CB in the early 90s. The Skiptech 4000. Now, These, I think a lot of these were recalled back in the day. I'm sure there was an article, a news briefing saying that there was like an intermittent fault with them. But these rigs you'll often find in other countries with slightly different names on, like Euro CB or Albrecht or Pan and stuff like that. But they're basically the same rigs, except this one's UK 40, and obviously the ones in Europe will be like Scepter type specs for their countries at the time. And that shows in the manual, because the manual actually states the SEP frequencies, not the 2781 frequencies. There's another one, the HS 2000, the walkie-talkie version. It's got basic radio, really, up-down rubber antenna, and that's it. It's got an LED channel display on it. But I've got one of these too. As I say, them by modern standards, I would say they're quite basic, but if that's your thing, you know, I mean, that's it. As long as it's working, that's all we should be bothered about. These are, I didn't care much for the KT750 Jesan. It comes with the antenna and the fag light and this horrible leather case that just bounded and like will wrap around the radio, and the radio is, in my opinion, isn't much cop. I've got two or three of these, and they'll work the same. So I could have 3 Duff ones, mind you, but at the price, I suppose they were cheap, because this at the time went on to challenge the Midland Ready Rescue that was out, which is in here, and I'll show you that. But first we've got the CB950. These were very popular. There's still loads of them kicking about. These are 2-channel walkie-talkies with 14 and 31, I think it is, that's on these, or channel 30 and 14. I think that's what it is. Anyhow, like I say, the basic radios, simple, ideal for just talking out like a campsite or whatever. With one of the Sonic ones put out 250 milliwatts, the Jesan one put 200 milliwatts out. Whether that's true or not, that's something to be 14 and 30 channels, and that's the same. So if you've got them, you could talk to each other on like the same set of channels. So next page. Now we're on the SEP rigs. Well, you've gotten some SEP rigs. So this is a DNT scanner. I remember seeing one of these back in the day in a local CB shop, and they were looked technological. I didn't realise they were SEP, and it was quite expensive. I think it was about £100. But I'm saying expensive, was expensive for me. I didn't have £100 to waste on a CB or spend on a CB, and so I never ever got one back then. And maybe one day I'll get my hands on one that works anyhow. So these are the DNT contacts. So contact 2 and the contact, and basically it's just a slight overhaul of the same basic design. These are SEP channels as well. And these handhelds on here, the DNT high-tech handhelds, the Scan 40 FMs. There's actually got a detachable battery box. I've got one of these, or 2. I'll have to double check the batteries are charging up, so we'll look at them one day. The HT4000, I done this years and years ago. This is basically a copy of, or should I say, basically the same size of the Harvard 410 type of radio, except it's got green channel LED display. But like I said, I've done that years ago, maybe over 10 years now. These, I don't have any of these, but you can see this one here is on CB2781 channels, and that has 3 channels on it there, 7, 14 and 19. Shout for somebody on 19 or whatever there while you're walking, or shout for them on 14, tell them to get into channel 7, and these HT4, I've seen these kicking about, the 124s FMs. I've never ever bought them. They're not certainly not popular, and they're just on the SEP spec. or Danita Scanner 40, not DNT, it's Danita. Now these, you could get these on various names, Satcom, Hamscan, Zenith, Euro CB, loads, CRT, all had it was all basically on the same thing, on the same chassis thing, and obviously different features are brought out on the radios conforming to their local set specs. Good little radio these, and obviously they weren't cheap, they were really expensive in this country. I think sure they were like around about 150 quid when I seen them in Tandy's years and years ago, and that was a lot of money that for a walkie-talkie in my mind. So here you see the Midland Ready Rescue set, the 779145, which came in the plastic case, the rubber antenna, and the car charger, battery pack, and the radio, and you got a leather case. Now when these two are joined up, it makes about 12 inches, makes a big radio, but it just seems, it works better, it just seems a little bit better, but in theory it's doing exactly the same job as the KT750, if that's all you're really hoping for. Spilled me dinner on there or something, wherever it is. That's it, like I say, we used to use these when I was on the CB. Maxon 49 megahertz radios, the handheld, and the one for riding around on your pedal bikes or whatever. Again, I've never tried these out. I've seen them advertised and then I've thought about buying them and then I just never bothered. The Uniden Pro 620 set base station. I've done an overview on one of these only a few months ago, and these are the same size as the Uniden 300 base stations if you're interested, but they're slimmer, just a bit slimmer. Next, this is the last of the UK base stations in here, the Team 3100 UK FMCB radio for the SEP spec, or UK spec, and when I saw this one, wow, look at all these LEDs and that, and I just couldn't wait to get my hands on one. Now I always remember going over to Supertech in, I'm sure it was Granger Market, or Green Market, sorry, that's where they were in the Green Market, and when I went over there, I always thought, oh, I'll have a look at that. And I was going to like join their Christmas club or something, and I'm sure about 170 quid, but I just never ever got round to it. I will spend my money on the other stuff, so it just never happened. I did eventually get one, but came second hand years ago it did. So anyhow, this is the EZ or Easy kit. Yeah, this is a simple quick setup. If you're in a truck something, oh yeah, get yourself a CB, you probably just run in and get that and think, oh, you've got the right stuff, and then you realise that you probably just spend way too much money on it. The radio is obviously useful, well, and the SWR meter I suppose would be useful to you as well, but really you should have just bought these separate and bought yourself a decent antenna, but only temporary communications, that's all you'd want. PMR radios, handhelds and mobiles, these are operates on 66, 68, 136, 174 and 403 to 470. I think there'll probably be 3 different sets in there. Interestingly, they've got CTCSS and DCS programming built into it. It is programmable, which so even if you're a amateur radio operator, it's possible to get some use out of them still, if they were programmed up on the 144 or the 2 meter bands or whatever. Steepletone MBR7 looked a lot more radio than it ever really was, but it's basically just one of these, just yucked in a bigger box, I think. Could be wrong, like, but I've got one of these kind of things in the house somewhere. I used it a lot for listening to the police and that, And that's what they used to do. They used to pick up the CB. See, it's AM and FM, but I'm sure all they're doing is just receive the TV channels, VHF radio 88 to 108, A-band, hobby radio, flight and stuff like that. And obviously the police and fire brigade and ambulance services, all of that was all yucked in. So the next one is basically the same thing. The marine. This has the marine band on it. This is basically just a dolled up kit. Aye. Scanners. Fairmate HP 2000. I did have scanners back in the day, but I never bought any of these posh ones like this. They were just way out of my budget. Same as this, the Black Jaguar. I mean, I've seen them now and then, but I would say they're rare, really. Now these, the Bearcat 50, I remember these being in their shop in Skiptech in South Shields for £110 years ago. And they were expensive, you know, for what they were, really. Constant Tandies used to sell basically the same radio, except with a realistic badge on for £100 or on special offers for even less. The mobile versions of Nevada's 1000 and the Bearcat 760. Desk mics, TW232, lots of them still kicking about. These, I've seen these Echo base mics once or twice on eBay in the last few months. And these kind of things just pop up from time to time. Mobile mics, these variable dynamic mics, these were good. Those were very popular back in the day. But loads of people probably got one of them, a DM520 coffin mic, simple mic, and usually just looked as a part when you were putting it in your for your Cybernet based radio, like a Rotel or something like that. You could take the front badge off if you could, and you could stick your Rotel on. Replacement mics for the Midland radios, the Midland 99, 104 and 77 250K and all of them. The Midland power mics there, again, another good mic. I've had one, my friend had one of them actually. Various extension speakers, like larger square ones. And some small ones. You know, some of these could sound a little bit tinny or whatever, but in the right environments, I suppose they worked. Same as these and see, all sort of the same thing, really. Probably the most fun one there's a PA horn. Ideal for mounting in your car or testing a mic out in your house. Various power supplies for powering up walkie-talkies or whatever, and battery chargers for them. Or maybe you want to power up your hand scanner. PSUs. I've got this one here that's been a good power supply over the years. Had what seemed like a modern design back then, rather than just a square box board. At the end of the day, if it's working, it works. There's something that are getting more retarded out of the system. That's 24 volt droppers and that. There'll still be people who want them, but a lot of the radios are now going to take the 24 volts, so it doesn't really affect them. Amplifiers, here's the chocolate bar one I used to call them, the 7 CDE. I say they're the 735, but 735 was actually just a smaller one, just a little bit smaller than that little slidey switch. But there were plenty of these kind of chocolate bar ones about, and Nevada had one out as well. Again, these are alright. I use this in quite a lot. The 747, this is the Euro CB version, but I say they put out about 80 to 100 watts. It says 7 to 100 watts RF output, but I think we're probably around 80. Not too sure actually, and I really measured it. I mean, the SWR meters I had back then would have said, oh, it's getting 100 watts. Whether it was or not, that's a different story. But these are what the big lads had. The Zatagi power amplifiers. I've seen these in operation as well. These are ideal putting on a lower shelf and keeping your feet warm in the shack. of just keeping the heat down in the house. SWR meters, just basic meters and switches, antenna switches there, sorry. These are catalogue meters. I remember buying this at South Shields Radio Rally, and I thought it was cheap at the time, and now they're like really expensive to buy new. The cross needle ones looked more interesting. Preamplifier, I had great on SSB the way, I suppose. I used this quite a lot on with me ham jumbo years and years ago. They say it did increase the FM signal, but it didn't really increase the audio for it, you know what I mean. More Jesan SWR meters. This, I've got one of these in the house. It works, and you know, it does the job, but it's not we're not going to compare it with professional grade gear or anything like this. And these are quite the size of, they look alright on top of your base station or whatever. Something to look at, isn't it? And this, I've got one of these, Moonraker 1 version, basically the same power SWR meter and a built-in matcher. A C250, popular second-hand used frequency counter that you can buy, and some dodgy multimeters. SWR, soldering gear, stuff that you might wonder when you think, I'm going to start fixing my rig and stuff like that, and so you get soldering iron or putting my plugs on, solder pump, more solder, cleaning foam, server cells. Server cells are really expensive these days, I think. And stereo antennas, some good antennas here, GBEs. These have went up a lot in price over the years. I think you can still get them. There's Vector 4000, I think there's a shorter version of this now, based on the same antenna though. But them were good antennas. And these were like available in loads of different brand names, Moonraker, Sigma, and God knows what else. And they had basically half-wave and 5/8 wave antennas, and then you had these high gain versions, silver rods. I think everybody just called them all silver rods, to be honest. The LM DX and the LM Boomer LM. I've got one of these Boomer LMs somewhere. These were popular. You used to see them stand on chimney pots and that all hour, and you probably still find a bit of them still on the chimney pot somewhere around the country. I think literally the brackets or whatever just refused to fall down, apart from all the legs and that. But I've seen quite a few of these still kicking about. Whether you're in use or not, that's a different story. But they were kind of antennas for a legal antenna. And you've got to bear in mind that these blue rods and the silver rods and that, these were all illegal back in the day. And the Antron there, lots of people like used to love the Antron. Used to know a guy who had a Modulator 2000 and Shakespeare big sticks. There was another expensive antenna for in the day. Watt pole, basically the dipole with a mobile half blade antenna stuck on the top. And these were like just little legal antennas. A young lad bought one of them down near where I used to live. And it worked okay for him. He got out better than his mag mount on a biscuit tin. Hardware for mounting brackets and rotators, scanner antennas. I've never had any of these. Never. I bought a Discone once, and I soon realised why it was cheap, because after the radials and that were missing, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it sort of worked, but wasn't that great. For what I was hoping to pick up, just didn't pick up, and what I did pick up, I just picked it up slightly better than what I was already hearing. Mobile antennas, Valo, the centre loaded one. I suppose that one was okay when I had it. A half blade, I used to have that back on the back of my scooter. And I remember I think my cousin had one of these, this in here, the dialer match. Modulator antennas, the main modulator LC, there's loads of them on there. And these Black Widows, and these are still heavily copied today, popular antennas, weren't they? still are, I suppose. The Stereo mobile antennas. You've got the DV27. I think just about everybody had one of these, didn't they? Or at least tried one out to see whether they were any good. The 5/8 version, people said they were better, but whether they were or not, no idea. Now then, these. I had one of these. Midland Mobile Dominator Power Max antenna. These were a big, heavy out antenna, 68 inches long, I think it said. 3/8 stainless steel. Yeah, you go, deluxe 68-inch high-powered truck antenna. They used to have that on a mag mount and never ever fell off. Oh, the big out heavy antenna, and they used to work really well. And the only other one, oh wait, these were junk, these. Alright, for about half a mile or so in car to car, but that's about it. I remember seeing this on the top of a van in Scotland years ago, and I'd never ever seen another one again. That was the only time I ever seen it. I knew, oh look, there's one of them. The antennas are in the catalogue. Mobile twin truckers and that. K40. Some people used to love these. Marine antenna. These again, these were all just simple bullwhip antenna, you know. You can still buy on most of these, you can. Just different brands, Thunderpole and stuff like that. Sigma or Moonbreakers, they'll all sell these antennas. The Wilsons, these are crowned as good antennas in the States. A lot of people still like them. Seamaster Mobile and ship-to-shore radio, sorry, and the handheld version of the same thing. Never had any of them. These are mag mounts, Pygmies and stuff like that. Mag mount there for the K40. Hardware really, there for mounting your antennas, boot mounts and mirror mounts and stuff like that. Limited mounts, short ones. These things used to cause mayhem because obviously the connectors used to get mangy, and then you couldn't power up or get your SWR right with them. But lots of people still had them back in the day. The old slide mount, Ringo loops, got to be rubbish on that. But power leads for the various radios of past and present. As I say, this catalogue doesn't show, like say, the Amstrad one here, but you could still buy the lead, and same for the, well, I think the Maxon, there was probably one or two radios that still used that. And there's a slightly rarer one that's harder to get now, and that's a Skiptech 4001. That'll fit the Delta 4000 as well. More power leads and cables and that for you to be messing about, and God knows why these are here for what you call the audio video dubbing kits and that. What's they got to do with a CB catalogue? I've no idea. You've got coax and power leads, suppressors and that for in case you're getting interference or giving interference, a TVI filter for in the back of your telly or your neighbour's telly. Rubber ducks and antennas for the walkie-talkies. Replacement telescopic antennas for the HT 4000, and also fits other radios and that. Night cards. I used night cards a lot back in the day for me Midland Porter Park and that, and so I was just one of them things. I'm still using them, I suppose. So for me, I suppose it's they're a bit of a lifeline, but you end up spending a fortune on them, especially back in them days. They weren't cheap to buy, really. All the different antenna kind of connectors. There's a TV connector there. Adapters, a dummy load, and as I say, these dummy loads have a little bulb in the back, ideal for testing basic radios, or turn the power down on an SSB radio, and you can check the modulation, see if your mic's actually working as well. Again, telephone accessories, I mean, what's that got to do with them? But they're there anyhow, you know, you could look at them. Telephones, this is the kind of thing that I'd expect to find in Supertech at the time. Just cordless phone. Well, these are wireless intercoms, they're not telephones at all. Reverb, I only ever heard one decent one of them. The guy in Fence Houses used to have one, and they used to have it set up really well. The S880s had one of these, and these work really well as well. More basic walkie-talkies, quarter of a mile range. That's not going to get out very far, but in clear space, I suppose it might seem good if you're hunting around for something or whatever, and you wanted to get communications back. There's things for the car or cab, 12 volt fans, or just sonic alarm or Christmas tree. A mobile SWR meter, cattle cooler box, and a circuit tester. In the back here you've got a component list for various different radios. Jesan KT 7000, 750, 950, 104 sept. It's got coils and these. Supposedly, I suppose you could order the parts back in the day. Just for the D&T M40, KT 5000, 303, and the D&T contact. And that, now then, these are the shortwave radios, and the Sony ones, these still fetch good money, these do. I mean, even these, the Sangean 80S803s, these were sold under various different names. Realistic sold them, and I think Seiko sold them as well, like Curry's or Dixon's or whoever sold them. But if you're quite happy to get by with using like a small radio for shortwave listening, or when you're on holiday and that, I suppose the work, and that is that. There's a little colour picture there on the back showing the radio, the Midland 104 actually lit up and in use. But that's it. Somehow footprints there on the moon, I guess. And I just wanted to show, because on this I do actually have the addresses for Supertech there. But like I say, that's Eldon Square, the Green Market. Head office in South Shields. And the one in the Merrow Centre, Russell Way, 32 Russell Way, that's what the address is. As I say, this is Supertech all over. Catalogue price was £2.50. What there was Soul, Palmer, Jupiter, EOR, Sony, Lingo, computer accessory scanners, CBs, electrical telephones and watches. And that is all. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I didn't bore you way too much, but there you have it. Thank you.